Thanks for taking the time with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I was actually, I watched your interview with Chris a couple of days ago, and he's just such a great friend to David's Refuge and good person. So
he's a good guy. We had a lot of fun on that call.
I didn't know about the pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's a hidden gem in the portfolio of Chris Pambianco.
It is. I'm not going to be able to say anything like that.
That's all right. It's pretty extreme.
No pro wrestling here. Yeah.
It's pretty extreme.
I was able to find a conference room today, so that's good.
That is.
Sometimes I have to do this from my car, so it was nice to not have to do that.
Yeah.
So, being a business professional, right, you always look at the profile of the person you're going to be talking to. And I did my research. I know what kind of sparkling water you like, and all the details associated with where you've been in your career, right? All great stuff. My question for you, Kate, is please tell me about the chickens.
So a few years back, my kids, my son particularly, he came to my husband and I, and he wanted us to get backyard chickens. And we live in the middle of Fayetteville. We live in the village. So it's been something that I've thought about too, just kind of, I wouldn't say a bucket list, but maybe a bucket list item is to have these chickens. But being village people, we weren't really sure it fit the bill. So we decided to do it. Our neighbors ended up having a shed that they wanted to get rid of. So a bunch of neighborhood men got together and moved probably a 500-pound shed over to our backyard, which we remade into a chicken coop. We ended up getting the chickens, and wow, it was quite an experience. I have so many stories of how these chickens, they are beasts. They are mean creatures, and they attack each other, and they're kind of mean and gross. And it brought my husband and I closer together. Some of the things we had to do to care for these chickens.
How many are there?
Well, we actually got rid of them. We got rid of them just a couple months ago because we had 13. And a raccoon came into our yard one night and took out a few of them. And that was sort of the nail in the coffin for me, was dealing with that at 2 a.m. My husband, who has a beard like Pete, turned into like a caveman, and he was out in the backyard with a wooden spear trying to get the raccoon away at 2 a.m. And this is, the adventures of chickens. So we ended up finding a beautiful farm for them. One of my son's soccer teammates took the chickens. And so it ended our journey, but it was full of stories and a lot of fun. We had the chickens for 2.5 years. We had blue egg layers and we had brown egg layers, and we were the talk of the neighborhood because everyone came to our house to get their Sunday morning eggs, and so it was a lot of fun. I do recommend it. It's more work than we thought it would be.
Yeah. So the reason I asked is my wife and I have been talking about it for some time. I don't know, your story might change her mind, so I'll probably not let her watch what you just said about it.
I think you got to do it. You got to just go for it and craft your own journey with it. But just know it's going to be a little bit more work than you bargained for, probably.
Yeah. I'm a very eager father. He loves projects. So if I said, "Hey, Dad, build me a fortified chicken coop," we would have Alcatraz of chickens there. So I'm feeling good about it.
Go for it.
That's right.
Good luck. Call me if you have questions.
I'm looking for allies. So thank you for that.
At our office, we have folks who have chickens, and they used to be able to, deliver eggs. And with COVID, some of those people aren't coming to the office. So I was all geared up to get her eggs this spring, and I'm still waiting.
That was my favorite thing to do. I remember showing up for a meeting with Jay Yannick over at Chinatown Furniture, and I walked into his showroom and I was like, I have a meeting with Jay, and I had a dozen eggs with me. And that was one of my favorite things to do, was to show up at meetings with donors and friends with eggs. It was so fun. And but then I found out Jay also is a chicken lover and has chickens. So, it just it was a thread that you could find with people. So sure. I love that.
Sure. Thank you for sharing. That was good icebreaker. See, I told you, we don't stick to any normal strategic course when it comes to talking to people. We want to hear about who you are, not about what you've done, and we want to hear the journey along the way. So the chickens are a good starter. So.
Love it.
Mike, I'll let you take it from there.
Oh God, how do I follow up with chickens? Meanwhile, I was just doing some of my own little due diligence and seeing that you're a family person, and it seems like your husband and your kids spend a lot of time outside. So, when you exhale on the weekend, if you do exhale, what are you guys doing to kind of clear your head and what gets you all recharged for the following Monday?
I love that question. Yeah, we definitely love to spend some time outside. We're those people that are always out. Our neighbors, no one's ever outside, especially this time of year. And, we have a fire pit in our backyard. We have a huge wood pile. We go out in our little woods here and we find firewood. Our biggest thing this weekend was we borrowed my mom and dad's wood splitter because they have a big property, and we towed this wood splitter on the thruway back from Rochester. And so we spent the weekend splitting wood, and my husband and I get excited when we see a tree down that we can get the chainsaw out and attack. This is what I grew up doing. I grew up out in west of Rochester in a little town called Holley, New York. And we didn't, that's what we did. We split wood. My dad had a bulldozer. So Saturday mornings I would wake up to the sound of the bulldozer, because my dad was going to go out and clear a new path in the woods. Mm-hmm. So it was just, in me from a very young age. And I think just the fresh air, there's something about it. So it's taking walks. I love running. I love going out for a run. You can do it anywhere, anytime. There's no excuse why you can't go for a run. It's definitely a way, and it's not for everybody. It's for very few people. I realize that.
So when you're running, is it music? Are you listening to music, podcast, or what are you doing? Or are you just thinking as you're running?
It used to be just thinking, but in the last probably year, I am a big podcaster. I love listening to people who speak about development within companies, development like Simon Sinek. That's one that I love listening to. I also love Oprah's Super Soul Sunday. She always has someone on that speaks to the greater good, speaks to tapping into the spirit, to the soul. So what I love about that is you can see how long the podcast is, and I go for a 45-minute run. You're definitely going to finish that run because you want to hear every last bit and get lost in it. So I'm a podcaster for sure.
I saw Brene Brown on one of your profiles. So she is definitely somebody that people should grab onto and understand how things work to be a better leader, to be a better person. So,
I think we all kind of suffer from this, that we think we have to live in our own thoughts, but really the key to kind of being more enlightened for me lately, especially, has been seeing the world through someone else's eyes and hearing what someone else has to say. Even if I don't agree with it, that's growing, and that's really digging in deep. So that for me has been a savior during this COVID especially, and a practice that I'll continue with forever. Yeah,
we're aligned with you, Kate. Mike and I sat down to do this thing in the spring because we both, we networked to build our businesses in the past. And so we sat down to network because we knew we weren't going to be able to do that the way we normally did. And it quickly morphed into what we're doing today, is hearing stories of different people and how they've persevered, or how they've, endured something. And everyone's so grateful for us when we do it. And we're like, well, wait a second, we just invested time with you and really expanded our network and our hearts, and heard the interworkings of your life and the vulnerabilities. So it allowed us to see people in a different light and get to know a lot of different people in different ways that we probably wouldn't have otherwise. So we're 100% aligned with that. Hearing someone else's story is inspiring. So thank you.
Well, what you're doing is really at the core of what all of us humans want. We want to be listened to. We want to be genuinely felt and heard and seen. And that's, I think, so much of what we lose right now. So you guys doing this, that you should just soak in the thanks and the gratitude, because so few people care to give the time. And always say that time, there's no time. And that was one thing I was really thinking about. I've been telling my friends lately, I love playing around with time lately. I feel like we've all been gifted a different set of hours almost. I know it hasn't changed. It's still 24 hours in a day. But time to me is so interesting lately, of how much you can do if you are strategic and you set a course and a goal every day. And then there is that time for the things that matter most. I mean, it's just been really cool lately. I don't know about anyone else, but that's been something really cool to watch lately.
It's the cliche retirement formula. My parents have talked about it for years. Like, my dad's like, I don't know how I ever got anything done before. I'm retired, and I just have, he just, time is a different thing. And not that we're retired here in our space, but it's definitely not the same as it used to be. And just imagine if you could turn off your cell phone for a few weeks, your time would probably quadruple.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Maybe we've
Couldn't
all
do
just
that.
reprioritized, reprioritized it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's definitely, I think a lot of people did, right? I mean, we just talked to Jeff Knaus the other day. He said it pretty elegantly, as he says most things, but he's just said, look at it as an opportunity to reset, right? To regroup, to recalibrate with your family. That time you spent, Mike and I have said it a million times. I had both my adult daughters living at home at the time, and my 13-year-old daughter and my wife working from home and me working from home. It could have been a recipe for disaster, but it ended up being a beautiful time. We got to spend time every night having dinner together in a different mind frame than we had been in ever. I think there's a lot of stories like that. Mike had some of the same, and everyone we've talked to has kind of really taken it and grabbed onto it. So glad to hear you're doing the same.
Absolutely.
Mine's more of a time warp. I feel like things are just going by really fast, and the fact that we're into December, and in September we were like, how did summer go by already? We didn't do anything. We weren't like traveling like we normally would, but meanwhile time was just flying.
Yeah.
And here we are, on the doorstep of 21, and
here we are.
that's the part that's, to me, we're doing less in our free time, but meanwhile time is going by faster, and I wouldn't expect that.
Right.
I have a normal day, go to the office and come home, but it just, I don't know, it just seems like
different for everyone.
Yeah. Sure. I'm like a senior citizen over here. I like, 3:30, I'm going to see what my daughter did for school that day and kind of easing into a early dinner.
Getting time for dinner. Yeah.
A nap could happen anytime. It's a good space. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, and maybe it's given us all a chance, like that whole saying of you don't stare at the tree so much, you're looking out at the forest, that infinite game. I feel like that's where the shift has also happened a bit, is being able to look long term, because I don't want to build anything personally or for David's Refuge that's not on stable ground. I tell my team that all the time. We aren't going to make a plan that's just going to be a bust next week because, there's more shutdowns or whatever. So it's forced us to really play a long-term game here. Okay, end of 2021, or even not put a date on it. We've kind of lifted off of these months of planning and just kind of said, where do we want to be here? What's the long-term game? So that might be the cause of some of the shift too, in how we feel,
I like that. Solid foundation. It's good. It's good.
That's all we got, right? Well, you got to scrape for it. You got to really search for the solid foundation, the common.
With all that said, we still have that immediate, like, holy shit, how do we get through tomorrow? So that's a huge, like, my mind has to work differently when we talk about our goals for next year or post-COVID, but yet meanwhile, we still got to get through this week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would think that's, even hyper-focused in your world of nonprofit sector of how do you serve your members and your constituents tomorrow and next week, but meanwhile, we don't know what is happening next week.
Serve like there isn't tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. Keeping our parents, our caregiving parents center in all of this has been the easiest way for us to navigate what I look at as the storm. You know, for my team, I would say to them, we have this mighty, mighty ship. I'm a metaphor person. I'm a quote person. We have this ship and it's going to get really rocky here, but as long as you stay on board, you know, you might be angry, you might want to yell, but don't jump off the ship, because none of us can save each other if you're in the water. You know, you got to stay on. So that's been, and then on that, it's looking at our families and what do they need right now. And that's the beauty of my organization. It's small, you know, it speaks to your whole podcast, your whole message here is it's small. So we can make decisions on a dime. We were able to pivot. I didn't have to go up to a corporate headquarters in, you know, Arizona and say, can we do this? Can we spend money here?
That's awesome.
We just said, we're going to do a dinner program. We're going to use the funding we would have spent on these respite weekends that have to be canceled. We're going to pour it into local businesses and let our families get a meal, because that's what they need. They need care packages right now. So we were able to keep everything centered on those people. And then knowing that as long as we all stayed together, we would be able to keep moving forward. And that's really resonated with the people who support us too. You know, we're so lucky in that. For the supporters, it's been a face of just gratitude. Great gratitude to them for what they've done for us. Looking at them and saying, hey, we know you're in a bad place right now, maybe, and you can't do what you've always done, but we're grateful. And we're here for you, and we're going to be here for you, and we're going to slap your logo on everything, regardless of a donation coming through the door. So that's been our whole kind of method in the madness, I guess you could say.
I like it. I watched so I was looking again. I know I went right to the chickens, but I did look at some strategic information associated with your group. I love the page with the video. You know, I saw Jeff do one, and different people having tips on how to teach from home, and I love that. I'm a video guy. I'm a visual guy. I'll read anything you put in front of me if I have to, but if you can have someone tell the story on a video, and I just thought that was cool that you guys are using that platform to not only put a positive word out there, but also get exposure to other people's brands. And I can relate to that. I like that. So thank you for doing that. It's cool.
Yeah, that's been a really fun part, is increasing our video skills. These were all huge barriers that we saw pre-COVID. We're like, we don't know how to do it. We don't have a fancy camera. We can't do a video. It was like every excuse in the book. And now, you know, you hold your phone up and you make it happen.
Yeah. So we feel your pain. Mike and I barely knew how to operate Zoom in April. I'm not even joking. We had a meeting, right? We had a meeting like a week before, and we had to participate via Zoom. I'm like, and then, man, if I only knew what was coming. You know,
oh my gosh.
You know, you breathe on Zoom. So, we had to evolve and kind of move quickly to learn how to put this thing together, and we're still learning that part, but we're getting there. We're better and smarter than we were in February, right?
I mean, we're growing David's Refuge, so we're growing it out to Rochester and beyond. And cool. I had, you know, I was going to go to visit Florida and see if we could maybe open up a chapter there in the near future, and then Rochester, obviously continue that. And I remember just meetings in the winter in Binghamton, Rochester, and I would call 7 donors or potential businesses who wanted to support us and meet with me, and I would cancel the whole day because of a snowstorm. Oh, I can't make it. And then like the thought that had to be completely a whole day wiped off, you know, that you had to then rebuild. Now that will never happen again for any of us.
No,
you know, it's just incredible. So
no, the chain of evolution, we jumped a few people forward.
Yes, we did.
So
right,
that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the truth. And COVID has actually given the general public an ability to see the life through the eyes of the people we serve. You know, you think about things like isolation. We all feel isolated. We all feel a bit of a loss of autonomy, you know, with the abilities to choose what we're doing, when we want to do it, and how we want to live our life. We're all really struggling with that. We also are all facing financial fears more than ever before, you know, and that type of thing. And then overall, just the fear, overwhelming fear of being sick. Well, this is the life the caregivers we serve, these parents and their families, live every single day on their journey. Yeah. We have families who've always been in lockdown during flu season, because if their kid gets sick, the flu, the common flu is terrifying. So this is really interesting for us, because what it's doing is creating this common ground where now I can go out to anyone and say, look, this is exactly how our families feel, but it's not going to end for them.
Right. 365, 24/7.
Yeah.
Yes.
Year in, year out.
Yes. And this is why our mission is so critical. And if you want to jump in and join our family, that's what it is. Join our family, be a part of it. Help us grow this thing. The money is going to the right place, I guarantee it. Now just let's grow it. Let's bring it to more people. That's what we're here to do. So it's been coming.
I always joke around about dropping the mic, that moment right there, Kate, what you just said, the way that you described it. So I've looked at your website, I've looked at your profile, and through all of this, right, and all the things you do, but what you just said and how you made me feel associated with how your people feel. And I've already kind of, stepped onto that, right? Even just with Jeff's message I saw, and just with being a human being during the last 6 months, we joke around about it. At this point, I say it almost every call, the level of empathy, right? Everyone can see now more than ever what everybody else is going through, but what you just said and how you brought it to that level, that changed it for me. So it's great.
Puts in perspective.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. They should put you in charge of this thing,
Wow. Oh man, I am just part of it. That this team that I get to work with every day, day in and day out.
So tell us about that. How's that look on a daily basis?
So, pre-COVID or now?
No, I like now. Yeah.
Yeah. The team that is David's Refuge is a team of 6 people, women filled with love first, respect, people who truly do listen to each other, value each other, committed to this mission. When I look at the why is David's Refuge able to do what we do with such a small staff? I mean, serving hundreds and hundreds of people. It is the team. It is the people that make up our staff and our board, and these key volunteers. It all comes together. So we, as soon as the pandemic hit, we started doing daily Zoom calls, 8 a.m. every single day. We were on a phone call together, looking at each other, checking in. You could see if one of us was just having a really bad day or struggling. And that was where the team poured in, and we just all were there in support of each other. This was time to listen. This was time to build, to dream, and to reflect. And so that, I think, kept our team going so strong. From the beginning of this pandemic, there wasn't a moment that we all said, we're going to take a pause, we're going to take a break. It was, how do we? Let's create. There is just absolutely no other option. So that, I think, is the team. The skill sets, marketing, high technical, abilities to manipulate our sales force. We have these computer programs that are way over my head, and that's where this team comes in. And then just the empathy. I have admin who calls all of our guests and checks in for their weekends and does all the details. She's not just checking in, though. She truly, truly cares. She cares where these people are at. She sends cards if she hears they're in a bad spot. It's layer upon layer upon layer of people who truly, truly care. And I'm not just saying it, So
No,
well, it sounds like they're all vested, and they're all like all in, like mentally, physically, just and that takes a certain personality, but it takes a certain leader. So I'm guessing that you've got just a really good way of keeping them engaged and excited and motivated, because the rest will feed itself if you've got the right personalities.
It just happened. Recently, Nancy on my team, she she got a phone call, and I didn't know about any of this. This was like a year or two ago, that a mom had gone on a respite weekend, and she had lost a bracelet that was given to her from a very special bracelet. And the bracelet got lost at the bed and breakfast. Calls were made to get this bracelet found and then sent to our offices. And for some reason, the bracelet was sent to our office, but then never got to the guest. And who knows why? I mean, I honestly don't know. So Nancy knew about this, and we're actually moving out of our offices right now. We're going to be a guest at a space. And so we're cleaning out, and Nancy came across this bracelet. And she ended up remembering the story from over a year ago, wrapping the bracelet, putting it in a little box with a special note, packaging it so special, and sending it to that guest. And this guest got the bracelet, obviously was just overwhelmed with emotion that this had been found and that Nancy had taken such extra care in getting it to her and making it special. You know, she could have just put it in an envelope or had it dropped off at this woman's house, but she didn't. So I know that it doesn't seem small to me. That's a big deal, you know, and I didn't know anything about it until a week later. And Nancy luckily shared the story with me because her and I were just chatting, and she told me about it. And normally Nancy wouldn't even do that. She doesn't want the spotlight or anything. Right. But it's that level that is felt from every level, you know, at David's Refuge. It's that level of care. Yeah. And it's people like Nancy who do that, you know.
That's pretty cool that you have a team that's just that proactive to think and care in that regard. That says a lot about what your organization is. So hats off to you guys.
Yay. That's what we're here to do. So it's good. Yeah.
So you mentioned your board. Steve Mitchell was a previous guest of ours and is an ongoing partner with us and with our network and our alliance, and someone that's just comes from a really, really sound place with his giving and their organization. We were just out the other day. They were doing the Stuff the Bus operation there, and that was it's the second year I've been privileged to be a part of it. So just kind of we do continuously make the city a little bit smaller. Every conversation, Mike and I, you see us nodding and smiling as we're going along. It's usually because you'll mention a group or a name or a person, and it's just kind of cool when you see it all kind of coming together because of the work that you guys do. So.
Yeah, and Steve he's just such an energy force, isn't he? He's just a ball of energy and love. Yeah. And so him and his wife actually serve as key volunteers. So in addition to being on our board, Steve and his wife Lori, they go on the weekends with the moms and dads because they both have experience with siblings with special needs. And so they go and they just remind these parents that they're not alone and what they do matters, and that God in this community loves these parents, and they're our voice on the weekends. Yeah. So Steve and his wife really fill a huge role for us. Yeah. Great people.
Funniest story about Steve, and I called him out on it when we were talking to him. He's telling his story as you are, and he's kind of time stamping as he went through, and he was going to skip a section of the story for whatever reason. He took a step away from the industry he was in, and come to find out he was the head of a church for like 7 years in Rome. Yeah. And I'm like, you're going to leave that part of the story out? You know what I mean? What are you doing? We want to hear that's
a minor detail, right?
Yeah. Like, it's not a big deal. We were just affecting people's lives on the front, in the front field there. Yeah. But again, it kind of shows you who he is, right? He wasn't looking to, he was just trying to tell the story, and he had other things he wanted to talk about. And the charitable giving, his organization, my wife and I went to their open house last year and saw, all the different charities that they represent. And then it's powerful, and it's definitely his operation, his organization, as is yours, is proof that if you give first, the dividends are blessings.
Yes. You get it all back. You 100% get it all back. Yeah. And you even live that out. I know I do. You live that out on a personal level, and it's everything. David's Refuge is personal to me. It's my family. And I love so many of the other local organizations that we have in this community. So when we talk about making everything smaller, like it is, this is a family. This is a community that is a family. I just got off of a United Way call, part of Women United. I mean, there are so many ways to jump in and get involved. And it's all going to come back in knowing that you're making this community better. And that's what we're all here to do, is leave this place way better than we found it.
So I'm laughing and smiling because what you're saying means something, but I'm also laughing and smiling because as we're sitting here, I have a Mac, right? And my text messages pop up on my screen, Steve Mitchell, and then Jeff Knaus came
no
across
way.
Yeah, so just like, it's just what we're saying and doing are all, they're both happening right here in front of us.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Tell him I said hi.
I will.
Love it.
So we normally end up talking a little bit about empathy, which we did, and we talk about karma every single call. And I feel like that's what we're talking about right now. It comes back to you twofold or threefold or 100-fold. Yeah. But yeah, you surround yourself with like-minded, positive people and keep everybody on the boat. Don't let them jump off the boat.
Don't jump off the boat.
Don't jump off the boat. And we're going to figure it out.
If you do, jump
together.
off the side.
Yeah. Put a life preserver on for Pete's sake.
Yeah. Or let us know. Let us know before you jump so we can plan for it, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Who was the guest speaker of the Women United this week?
They were actually two physicians from upstate, and they were speaking about mental health, women's particularly mental health through COVID. So it was really great to take some notes and think about it in the ways of obviously serving the parents we serve, but also just, we're all just really, it's a really hard place, and people are showing mental health illness in a lot of different ways right now. So it was neat to get, just some reminders, especially for kids. They did a piece about kids and how they show that they're distressed. And so those are always great things to learn about right now.
To me, that's just, as a parent, that's the scariest part of the COVID pandemic experience is what is this doing to our kids? You're just like, 6 months seems like an eternity to a kid. And now here we are, I don't know, for 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, but these kids thought we were going to be shut down for like 3 weeks, and here we are. Just so the emotional toll of that is the part that gets me the most nervous.
One thing that we're going to be doing at David's Refuge in January is we're doing a whole self-care series for caregivers so that they can jump in and fill their different buckets, that they're feeling like they're lacking in or just need more support in. So that's being developed as we speak. But from a leadership perspective, we're actually taking Mondays as mental health Mondays for our staff.
I like it.
And so every single Monday, I'm forcing my team to look back at some of the trainings that we've all attended in 2021 and really regroup on those sessions that meant the most. We all attended the Global Leadership Summit together and took booklets of notes and had favorite things and goals driven from those. So we're going to take one Monday and go back and look at all those. And then we're going to do another Monday that all of us send our favorite link to our favorite podcast that created the biggest aha moment for us. So that's going to be a whole Monday dedicated to that. The third is, setting our 2021 goals. And then the fourth is going to be a special guest that I'm bringing into the team. So,
So did you say next Monday you're going to use Making the City Smaller as your favorite podcast? Is that what you said?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
You guys
Shameless
and
plug.
Oprah. Yeah. Yes. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
We're right there.
It's right there.
Well, actually, yeah.
Mike and I are always saying that, if Oprah just did a little bit different, we'd be just like right in line.
What this reminds me of, Kate, is when you're on the airline and you're getting ready to take off and the steward or stewardess is telling us that we need to put our mask on first before we help the others.
Yes.
Same concept. We got to take care of ourselves so we can help the guest.
Yeah.
I wish I was in my office right now because I have an oxygen mask in my office that our founder, he was on an airplane once and asked if he could have one. And he's such a compelling guy. And the stewardess gave him an extra oxygen mask. So I bring it to meetings with me and I show people, like, tell me what this is, explain what this is. So it's really funny that you just said that.
I like that.
It's exactly what it is. Yes.
There's a couple of different mic drop moments in those. We were both doing the same thing. Mike, you're right on.
Every now and then I come up with something.
Yeah. We should just keep going. We're on a roll today.
I love it. Yeah. No, it's great. You guys are doing some great work. I think that if we could all just keep moving forward with helping other people see their worth, and reminding them that they are worthy, that's a way that we can self-care. We can provide this opportunity for others to see that they're worthy of self-care. They're worthy of goodness. They're worthy of waking up every day and being allowed to be happy, giving them the permission. So those are things that I really feel we can all do in our culture and kind of shift it to help others grow out of this. Yeah.
Representing normalcy has never been so critical, right? And that's what Mike and I have been, and I'm not trying to like beat the drum here, but we keep saying like half of what we're doing, 3/4 of what we're doing is just showing other people in business that we're going to figure out a way to continue to do business. And they need to see, someone needs to stand up and do it so people know that it's safe to do it. Hey, if that person, Kate, can do that, then I can do that. And that's what we see this to be more than anything. It's a vehicle for just showing people that the normalcy is still there.
Absolutely. COVID is a bridge, not a detour. So stop trying to get back to the original path.
Yeah.
Go over the bridge, go to the new place. The new place is going to be great. I promise. It has to be, right? What's our alternative here?
Lemonade in 21 is my hashtag. Lemonade in 21. Yep.
Making some lemonade. Woohoo!
That's right. Or whatever refined juice that you drink or want to bake into something, whatever. We're gonna make
wine. That's
whatever. Sure. It's just refining what we're given into something better, not bitching about what we got.
2020 we were served some lemons, and 2021 we're going to turn those into lemonade.
How about your family? So your upbringing, you mentioned a bulldozer, so I immediately am interested. Tell me more.
Yeah, I love my family. My parents are hardworking, wonderful people. They raised us in realizing that, socialization is really important. I felt like my aunts and uncles a lot of times were my parents' friends. They would have big clam bakes and use their beautiful home to host other people and have a really good time and laugh and play cards and the good old fashioned stuff that we never had a Nintendo growing up. We always went to other people's houses and were jealous of that. And what's funny is now as a mom, I'm raising my kids the same way. My kids are 10 and 12. I have a son and a daughter, and they don't have any of that stuff. And people are shocked when I say we don't own an iPad. What? We just don't. We don't have an Xbox. We played Monopoly last week. It was a 3-night game of Monopoly with a 10 and 12-year-old, my husband and I. But it was great. It was, it was fun to watch them and learn that Leah is actually like a negotiator. We never would have seen that, if we were just sitting around a TV. So I was raised that way. Recently, I went through a bunch of boxes of cards. I've never thrown cards away. I love cards and people writing a note. And I didn't realize my upbringing was filled with people like my parents and my grandparents writing notes of encouragement and believing in me so deeply. I just didn't remember it. And going through all those cards reminded me or showed me that that's why I'm the person I am. Really, that was quite a moment. And just the last couple of weeks, to go through all that stuff. And I love nothing more than to write a note to someone and tell them how much I think they're great. It's a little bit about me.
We got news yesterday that my grandmother, who's 100 years old, passed away yesterday. But, bittersweet moment. she was not really in a place where she recognized anyone anymore. Her quality of life was not great, and had been for a few years. So, there's that, cliche, it was a blessing, but at the same time, it starts making you think a little differently about some stuff.
Yeah.
And my wife, she said it today, she's like, I'm not the best about writing a card, but if someone sends me something, I keep it forever. And as I've been sitting here, every few minutes, she'll come in and she's showing me another picture of my kids when they were little, or us when we were younger and something was crazy. And then today she brought in a letter from my aunt, and it was from her husband. My uncle was passing away of cancer. And it triggered every emotion that you can think of. I looked at my wife and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this today. Just the emotional drain of kind of processing my grandmother, and then seeing the letters. I'm saying it because I can relate to, A, my wife keeps everything like that. That's important. Thank God she does. But B, the quality of people that reared you and were around you did the things that mattered. That thing that she wrote was like 18 years ago. She brought it to me on the right day, in the right mind space too, where I just, I had to pull it away. There was tears falling on it. With you 100%. You're saying something that matters, and I appreciate that.
Oh, I love that. And I think what hit me the most was I didn't remember it. Yeah. They've always done it. Back to my 10th birthday, they wrote these notes about believing in me, and that matters. And it just reminded me as a parent, I got to do that. It builds really, humans that are confident and want to go out and conquer the world. It's kind of cool.
It builds character.
It's the best savings account that you could ever have in terms of, you want to get equity from your kids. They're not going to appreciate that note now. They're going to take it for granted. They're going to stick it in that same box that you and I did and Mike did. But on a day when they're 43 and their grandmother was 100, passed away, and they read it, it's gonna shake them to their core that they had good people around them. So all three of us need to write some letters today.
Yes, we do. Let's do that today.
Okay.
I'm holding both of you to it.
We should. I think we should. I love that.
All right.
I'm sorry about your grandma.
Well, thank you. It's what happens, right? So we move.
Yeah, she lived quite a life. I love that.
100 years, 20 to 20. I love the fact your upbringing is simple. So how the hell do you do that, by the way? So how do you not let your kids? I got to ask you, how do you do it? I'm glad this is recorded, because I'm gonna have a demonstration video after we get done here with how we can do this in my house.
Well, I mean, so they have a few things. They have laptops for school and things like that. So I'm not speaking that we're completely off the grid or anything.
Off the grid? Right. Yeah.
They have to be connected, and they have to know how to do that stuff. They do a few of the things. They play, I think it's Roblox, and they can play with a friend or two. We just don't have the big gaming system.
Okay. All right. Okay. We're on safe ground. I'm okay then.
Yeah.
We're good.
And no judgment. I mean, I know that's the way. I remember as a kid, I hated it. I wanted the Nintendo. I wanted to play Mario Brothers in my house.
Right. We're the first family to have that, right? We were probably the last family to have a VCR. Yeah. It just, and you know what? It taught me to appreciate, things that we had. And I think you're doing a good thing. There's a lot of evils out there with that much exposure and that much bandwidth at their fingertips. So I give you credit.
That's been one of the cool parts, is my kids actually love to go outside and
that's great.
Go ride a bike.
Yeah.
Go climb a tree. Do this stuff.
Now we're entering teenage years soon, so you could probably interview me in 2 more years, and things aren't going to be as rosy.
Yeah. So remember your offer with the chickens?
Yes.
Yeah, well, if you need help, Mike and I have already been through those.
I know, you're probably just secretly laughing at me, just wait, keep trying that bike thing.
No, I wouldn't change it for the world. It's again, bringing it back to that moment a few minutes ago, that's when it all kind of solidifies, when something touches your heart, and then you realize, even when you're self-critical of yourself, of how you parent, good, bad, or indifferent. Yeah. There's a lot of, you're always, I'm always going, I could have done that. Maybe I should have done that. If I had only done this job longer, this would have been better. You could do that game all day long.
Every single decision you make you're doing it because that's part of the journey that you're meant to be on, and I think that's always a good thing to remember. I was teaching that to my son the other day in the car. My husband, I love him, but he's slightly forgetful. So forgot something, which tied us up. We had to go back to get something. And I told the kids though, I said, this is meant to be. You know, we're not meant, maybe we're not meant to be on the road. By us turning around, we could be missing a potential accident or, you know, opening ourselves up to a different opportunity because we're now 5 minutes behind. And I think we all learned that on September 11th, you know, these stories of people who had to go back in their house to grab their keys and missed, you know, this tragedy. So I feel like that's always this like reminder, but you have to be really intentional about it in the moment, because you just maybe you want to be mad or you're late, but you have to remember, like, this is where I'm meant to be. It's okay. You know, it's okay. Yeah.
I missed an accident by, I'm guessing 17 seconds last week on 481. All of a sudden cars were just going everywhere. And I thought immediately, I was like, as I was driving into the shoulder to avoid it, and I'm like, what was I doing that I didn't leave the office, you know, 30 seconds earlier or whatever it was.
Person.
And I called you, I bet, Mike. It had to be me.
Yeah.
It was me. I definitely called him.
I'm alive today because of Pete Ward.
Listen, fine. We'll catch up at another time on this. It's not a big deal.
So true, though. It's so true. I love it.
Oh, he did call you. Probably really did text you.
Right.
It could have been one text, though. You're right. It could have been one
I'd like you to trace that. Can you trace that for me, Mike, when you get off?
But I wondered immediately. I was like, had I been 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds ahead of schedule.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It's true for everything if you play it out. You know, if you play out every single thing you've ever messed up on, the good things that have happened. Every time we have a stressful kind of weekend with David's Refuge, maybe something happens or, you know, a detail just really gets missed or something. We end up, you know, changing our services for the better. And I was just reminding our team of that the other day. It's like, these things are completely meant to be, and they're awesome. You know, bring them on, because they force us to get better.
Adversity will make you stronger, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So yeah, it's good stuff.
I could talk to you all day, right? Your theories, your philosophies, your vision. It's very powerful. So I really, really appreciate you spending time. So my mind goes to all the different things we talked about today. And you know, sometimes you have to kind of keep going in the conversation and find those things. They were right there in front of us the whole time with you. It was awesome. I really appreciate all the things that you said. And I say this very, very genuinely. If there's anything that we can do, anything that I can do, if you need a tent or chairs or something happens where all of a sudden you got to do something different, I'd love to donate. I'd love to give some of what we do in a way to help you, where you don't have to put out money to do that, and know that it's going to some of the things that contribute to who you guys are and what I heard today. So so that's my offer. So thank you for coming on.
I offer it right back. Anything that I can do to spread positivity, remind people of their self-worth, and just help people remember how important self-care is, so that we can all keep doing what we need to do. I'm in. So just say the word and I'm there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh,
Love
thank
it.
you guys for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank
It was
you.
fun. I hope that you guys have a joyous holiday approaching, and you're
You as well.
really happy thoughts. Yeah. So I know it's going to look different, but it's still going to be beautiful, I'm sure. So hopefully it will be for you.
Absolutely. You as well.
Snow.
Love the snow. The snow does make everything look just beautiful, doesn't
We
it?
can have some snow and do some skiing over the holiday break. That would be
Yeah.
Christmas for me.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. So nice
All
to
right.
spend time with you.
Good to see
Be
you
good.
too.